Today started out just as any other holiday. Just wake up with no alarm, getting the things ready for the day. But I kept thinking about something that I watched last night. It's an old movie, but have you ever seen that movie Independence Day? And I was thinking about the part at the beginning where the main character Will Smith, he's going out and he's trying to figure out what's going on, and they look up and it's that point where like the sky opened up, people are being frantic, people are running around, and he's just went to get the paper, and then he's like kind of figured out what's being to look at, and he looks up and this where the sky opens, the ships come in, and suddenly where the world realizes this isn't just another random Tuesday. Yeah. I've been thinking about that just generally since last night. And today we're celebrating the holiday, the fireworks, the barbecues, the red, white, and blues. Went into the store earlier today and everything had red, white, and blue. But I want to talk about a different kind of freedom, the personal kind, the one that just doesn't come easy, the kind of freedom that you've got to fight for. Because if we're honest with ourselves, freedom ain't free. Not in this world, and I can tell you, definitely not free in your life. And as I think about today, the day that we celebrate our national independence, but I've been sitting with this question, are we really free? Not just geographically or geopolitically, but personally, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. Because for a lot of us, we might be waving flags on the outside, but we may still feel chained on the inside. Not long ago, I realized something. I was considering myself free, but I was still asking for permission in these quiet parts of my life. I remember almost asking for permission to dream a little bigger, permission to pivot and change careers, permission to slow down, or how about this? Sometimes permission for me to speed up, permission to just truly, fully be me, even if that made some other people pretty uncomfortable. I wasn't in chains technically. I still had, on the outside the ability to do it all. But I can also tell you, I wasn't walking free either. And the scary part? I was actually fighting the wrong battle. I thought the battle was about money, time, the structures in which I found myself. But the real fight was in my mind, a belief that I still had to earn that right to show up and be bold. And that's when it shifted for me, when I stopped negotiating my own limits and started confronting them. That was my personal Independence Day. Now, in that movie, Independence Day, when the ships first showed up and first appeared, people were stunned. They looked shocked and astonished. Some ran, some froze, some tried to make sense of it all. The threat didn't speak. It just showed up. It didn't negotiate. They just hovered, came up in, the skyscape, and they were just massive, imposing, and silent. And that's how sometimes our inner battles feel when we have to deal with shame or fear, or how about doubt about our ability. These things don't always shout out. Sometimes they just settle in subtly in the quiet changing atmosphere. And sometimes they just do it without us even really recognizing it. Sometimes it's just one little thought, one little whisper. Then all of a sudden, after some time, they're like yelling at us. And you know what? We don't always respond with resistance. To be honest, most of the time we freeze. We delay the decision. We don't correct ourselves in a moment. We adjust our lives to make room for the fear. We build around it. We avoid it. We effectively allow that roommate to just stick around, and we just make sure that we're trying to tiptoe around and not see each other at certain times. It's hard to confront it. But freedom doesn't really come from avoidance. It comes from awareness, from naming what's invaded your space, what's invaded your peace, and you have to decide to fight back. Let me ask you something. Are you fighting your circumstances, or are you fighting your conditioning? Are you trying to fix what's on the outside of you when the real issue's what's on the inside? See, I spent a long time thinking my schedule was the problem, or that it was other people who didn't see my worth, or I just needed more time, or I just needed something on the outside that was not within my reach that always had me this hunger of wanting to grasp and gain more. But honestly, I was overcommitted because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I was not charging my worth because I was still questioning my value. I was hiding behind busy, and us overachievers, our high performers, sometimes busy feels normal. But I was hiding behind busy because I didn't want to have to face what it was like to be bold. The real battle was that, not the job, not the calendar, not life. The real battle was me. And until you confront that real enemy, you'll just keep rearranging your discomfort. Now, in the movie Independence Day, victory came where at the end, remember the president, he was, made this amazing speech, but it was this giant coalition where the nations came together. Now, I think we need to really think about that. This applies to us. Some of us are strong. You guys listen to this. You're probably that strong friend that you're the one reaching out, always checking on people, always the one coming through, always the one finding a way to fix it. But if we're honest, you might be strong, but I'm pretty sure you're tired. And, I would imagine sometimes it's not because you're doing too much. It's because we're trying to do it alone. Independence doesn't mean you carry everything. Independence isn't even a badge of honor. It means you need to start learning to choose what matters and how to invite others in on your journey. Now, that might look a multitude of ways. How about this? The next time that friend of yours asks you how you doing, how about being honest and telling them what you're going through? How about maybe joining a community of like-minded people or hiring a coach or a mentor? How about asking for help? How about that? Just ask for help, no guilt. There's no shame in asking for support. And I would encourage you, don't let pride keep you in prison to what your life could be if you found others to come along the journey with you. Now, the last thing I guess I will say about this topic is you don't get free once. And I think that's what a lot of people think. It's just, okay, I conquered that so last year. There's a song that I love. It's by Jonathan McReynolds, but he talks about cycles. He actually says it. I thought I conquered that last year, but you don't get free once. You stay free by practicing it every single day. It's about choosing not to go back to that old thought pattern once you're aware and you've recognized it. It's about saying no to things that don't align with what your vision or what you have to do or what you're trying to accomplish for yourself. It's refusing to shrink down just to let others feel comfortable. It's about letting go of that version of you that was probably built for survival and stepping into the version of you that's intended and you're building for impact. And how about this? Not surviving, thriving. And that is real revolution. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but you gotta be consistent. You gotta be intentional. I want you to get to the point where you can say, I've tasted freedom and I won't settle for those chains and bondage anymore, even if they feel a little comfortable, because sometimes our dysfunction can feel like normality. So as you probably are gonna hang out tonight or some point and, just watch the fireworks light up the sky, I want you to ask yourself, what do I need independence from? What battle or battles do I need to stop fighting? And lastly, and who do I need to fight with? Because sometimes you need to call in the infantry, right? And this is a freedom thing. But freedom, it ain't free. And you, my friend, you're worth fighting for. So I call you to fight for your freedom. Identify the enemy and find who can help you along the way. And always remember, guys, I love you much.